Oh.
It's time to kick the tires and light the fires. The Bo Carver Show is on the air.
Get into the groove.
The monkey crew is in place. And here's your head fire master, Big Wheels, Bo Carver.
Head and bang your head.
There you go. Bang your head, Fire Master, today.
Why is it red?
What's red? It's
That
live.
means
So that
we
means
are live.
We're live.
we are live. Are
Ready.
you found us yet over there?
See, no, it'll take a minute. We currently have
it's
one
a-
viewer, so you're obviously behind the
Yeah.
program here.
We're up and running if we got one viewer.
Right.
Woo!
See, I assume as head fire master,
A junior.
Firemaster Jr.
what does that mean?
What?
What can you do with
Well,
that
I just
tag?
would like to tell everybody that just joined us here on the Wheels of Justice. We're here every Sunday at noon, and you can tune in by going to facebook.com/Bo Carver Show. That's BOCARV, like in Victor ER Show. Bo Carver Show, and you can check us out on Sundays at noon. And we are doing something different today. We have no idea what's happening.
I am lost.
You guys don't even trust in your own son to handle something.
There we are,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
He said it.
Yeah, you are.
See, you wake me up and you're like, we don't ask you to do much, do we? And then you send me to a show. Okay, see, this is crazy. Michael Moulton says, looks awesome, guys.
Hey, and
Three
I-
exclamation points.
First-
Mother,
first you got to click on it. You
I'm
got.
on it, babe.
How
Almost
you
called you
make
something else. I
comments?
had to stop.
Yeah, I haven't heard you call him babe and
so
well, since I was born.
I'd like to thank Michael Moulton for that comment, because he is one of my dear friends, and he has a great show that's on in the evenings, and it's called Into the Rock. And his show's about recovery, redemption, all those great things.
Awesome.
You need to tune in. It's Michael Moulton, and it's Into the Rock. And thank you for that comment. We appreciate it. And this
Thank
is
you,
our,
Wendy, for giving us all the likes.
We-
We love you, too.
we are now trying a new camera that actually was notified to me through Michael Moulton. So this is a new venture for us. So bear with us. Let me tell you, if this thing works right, it's dynamite.
What happened to the last
Right.
camera? That's what I want to
It's still there, and I'm fixing to
dripping.
go.
When it saw you, right?
I'm
I did
fixing
last
to go
interview.
on it because this
No,
one's.
you're not.
It exploded.
You're not even moving.
You have to hit the button. You have to go on it.
I'm on it.
She's on
No,
it.
you're on it.
One word.
You weren't on it.
Psychotic.
Now
Everybody,
you're seeing
just,
everything.
Just bear with us.
Well, I have to
today.
train people.
Technology.
You know, this is a technology
See,
world.
this
Yeah.
is
that we
crazy. I'm
That's
gonna
right.
replace you, Barbarian.
Please do.
Kevin asks, "What's up? How's it going? How's your day, Father?
Which
What's
Kevin?
going on?"
Kevin Quinn, what's
oh,
up, Bo, in the
okay.
Hey,
game?
Oh,
don't
man.
get ahead of me here.
Okay.
I am ahead of you because you're not stealing my job.
Kevin
Carver
Quinn
Jr.
is one of the most fabulous lead guitar players and singers that you'll ever hear. In fact, he's in my band. He's in our band.
Cool.
And we're going to be performing here about the second week in September, going at the American Legion Post 88 in Lake Dallas as we do
Awesome.
a open performance there.
Steak
Kevin
night.
Quinn, steak night, and my buddy, all of our buddies up there in Lake Dallas. Greg Garland, the commander, love you to death, my friend.
Is he on?
I don't know if he's on or not, but our shows are archived, so he'll eventually
Michael
see it.
Quinn?
So
We're talking about Quinn?
you're doing a
I know
show.
McKees Rocks is on.
You're doing a show, Steak Night, and your whole audience has a steak knife. Every last one of them.
Exactly.
You better be good, boy.
We're going to give them, the night we're there, we're going to give them plastic forks. So this is a wheels off show. It's normally called the Wheels of Justice. Today it might be Wheels Off of Justice.
Okay.
And
I'm totally frozen up.
I don't know
so
what to
I'm
tell
lost.
you. I don't know what to tell you. I
We're
don't know why
good.
you're lost. Just
I'm gonna
scroll
go-
up.
I can't, babe. It's stuck.
Well, then go back. Okay.
One word. Many meetings.
Yeah, okay.
Psychotic.
This is a great idea. Graham Knoxmere, Bo Carver, you can give us the comments that are being made if they make them.
Excellent.
But I'm illiterate.
You can't
I
read?
never learned how to read.
You should have gone on your side.
Still in third grade. I can do hand paintings.
I think you're selling yourself short.
short or a bit too far? Tyler.
He's bragging again.
So we appreciate you tuning in today, and I'm your host, Big Will's Bo Carver, and I'm a field researcher for the Judge Judy Court television show. So that's how this all came about. Barbara Ann is here today, and
Princess Way.
Barbara Ann Purple Haze, co-host as always, normally making comments on Facebook. For some reason,
Not
she
today.
is not wanting to. She's wanting to be stubborn.
She's on strike.
It's that wrestling attitude that's starting to come out.
I got your loser right here, boyfriend.
And so we're going to have to figure out how to make that happen. Maybe you should just be on your phone. But
Wow, that.
Then he would complain. I was on my phone.
anyway,
all the time.
turn that computer off for me, please.
Would you just do your show?
Okay,
get on
okay.
to our
See,
guest, please.
okay.
Okay, does anybody in the house know a good marriage counselor? Because before this show's over, we're probably going to need one.
MakeItMelvin.com is my attorney, so
yeah,
I know
he's
that
your
one by
attorney.
Oh,
head.
you already
Yeah.
got the attorney?
Yeah, but
MakeItMelvin.com. Yeah, and I already paid him the dollars so Bo
the
can't.
problem is what Melvin would probably do is go, yeah, well, I'm representing you. And then he'd come to me and say, I'm representing you. And he'd get double pay and then not represent either one of us.
I don't need an attorney. You just
Let it
need
go
a will.
on and on. Yeah.
Wow, Barbara. Wow, I heard that. You can't say that
I
like
can say whatever I want. I
mid-conversation
can say
thing. No one
whatever
will
I
hear
want.
that. Hear that?
Flippantly.
I've already got life
That's
insurance.
morbid.
And
That's horrendous.
no, that's
That's
the
my
mood I'm in
father.
today, so we're good.
I
You
don't
kill
even-
him and I get
I'm-
half the money.
Okay, we're good.
I'm really glad I didn't hear it. I might be on the next episode of
That's
I know. We need to go back to
channel.
a family show here. Go back to our
And
Sunday.
who
Back
is
to your roots.
running the show today as the camera guy, producer, just all about everywhere, doing it, everything, and speaking on occasions is my son, who I'm very proud to say is my only son.
And
Thank
gets half the
God.
life insurance.
That's more like a relief.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did have gas about 15 years ago.
OMG.
You can't have a second one like him.
OMG.
Please
One
make
of a kind.
welcome Graham Knox, Mayor Bo Carver.
Hello.
Yay, Graham.
Hi.
Yay, Graham. Thank you for
so
helping
this
us
is-
out today.
I
Thank you.
talked to you about not giving me coffee, and how I'd always ask for it when I wake up and I'm exhausted. And what do you do, Father?
You asked for coffee.
I always ask for
Yeah,
it.
but it's like a drug person wanting drugs. You don't give it to them.
I didn't think of it that way, but I had
Yeah.
to wake him up somehow.
No.
There
Now
you
I'm
go.
awake. Now I'm somewhat proactive.
And he's
and
behind.
on our show this is a show about faith. Keep this in mind. She has mentioned your will twice.
Right.
Killing you, putting you under, digging
And-
your grave.
Yeah.
I played the fifth.
There's nothing higher today that I need than faith.
Don't raise her.
Amen.
Don't-
Amen.
Where
raise
the-
the water or raise the coke.
I need it
Oh,
everywhere
it
today.
doesn't matter. I
I'm
played the
depending
fifth.
on electronics. I'm depending on my son. I'm
Oh,
depending on
you're in
Barbara Ann.
trouble. You're in
I-
big
A lot
trouble.
of faith.
I really need it.
See, I think every man is due to make mistakes, but the words trusting your son under the age of probably 25 is just a bad decision. Just terrible words that you never want to hear.
Well, that's how I feel.
Okay,
But I
okay,
really
okay.
don't want to say those things.
You're a mother, correct?
Yes, I
you
am.
You have a child or multiple?
I have a 15-year-old boy as well and
Oh,
a 13-year-old
Lord.
boy.
Now
yeah.
you need faith
Oh,
too.
Every day. I'm
And-
on my knees, let me tell
I
you.
am-
And the prayer
Apologize.
meeting is
Yes.
starting immediately.
Yeah, and they're good. They're great, but you know.
You don't
yeah.
have to lie to
Is
us.
he
No,
just as
they are. They're
interesting
great.
as
I'm very
Poe?
proud of my boys.
Is he the same in like this one over here?
He
or-
likes tech. They both like tech. So
Okay.
yeah.
Do you give him you give them coffee?
I cannot give them coffee
Yeah,
because
I
they
don't-
already
I-
drive me up. No, I'm just
But
kidding.
see what
they have
happens.
they have enough. One of them's nickname is has the word energy in it. So yeah, no, we're good.
Wow.
We're good. They got a lot of energy.
Well, just my regards to you and your family.
He knows about
Thank you.
15-year-olds because he
Yeah.
is one of
Yeah.
them.
But be honest, okay? You're
Yes.
going out of town. Do you leave your 15-year-old son in charge of your house?
I would not do that. Not because I don't think
Thank
he's
you.
responsible.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd rather have him with us. Yeah.
I use the excuse of safety.
Who's doing
Wait a
that?
second. Is
Like-
this the second child? See, whenever it's the younger child, we all know
He's
that we're
the
a little
second
more
child
lax.
for his mother, but the only child for both.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
lucky.
But we all know you have like 20 hitting
call
kids.
that
There
lucky?
you go.
Every
Well-
major continent.
Parents usually get lax down the line, so yeah.
To end up with one is kind of lucky.
Amen. It's a blessing. A child is a blessing.
I can
Child
always-
is a blessing.
I can
For
always
sure.
pray for 18.
You see, my mother.
And before you say anything, Also in the show today, who was a guest just a few weeks ago and is now a co-host today, is my longtime dear friend, the best-selling author, Michael Edwin Q.
Hey,
Yay,
thank you for
welcome
being
back.
here.
And what, now tell us about your mother.
Well, my mother, when it comes to kids, she really believed in late-term abortion.
OMG.
Like
I
about
did not
15
know
years
that.
old. And
So the jury's still out
the
on
jury's
you?
still
Is
out.
that-
Yeah. I'm waiting for a bullet in the back of the head any
okay.
day now.
Oh, no.
But
And
you're
you
a little
had-
over 15.
Huh?
You've passed the age 15.
Yes,
Yeah, I know, but I'm
I
still
think
not
you're
safe.
just still.
What do you,
And my wife, Constance, wishes she could be here, but she's doing what she does best.
Saving people money?
No, let me put it to you this way: that woman single-handedly made me a millionaire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is she
but when we first met, I was a billionaire. You know.
I see where you're going.
We're working towards thousands
go,
now.
there you
yeah.
I see a lot of that on
Nowhere to
ID
go,
channel.
but up. Yeah.
And our
Yeah.
guest, and how special is this guest today? And thanks, Michael Edwin Q, for introducing her to us, me, and the Wheels of Justice. And she is an author and founder and a speaker. And we hope she speaks on the show today because that's what she
She's
claims.
doing fine.
That's
She's a
right.
speaker of Faith versus Weight. Please make welcome Maria Bauer.
Thank you so much. I am just thrilled, over the moon to be here, and I thank Michael for recommending me, and thank you for sharing your audience today, both of you.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
This is a fun time, and you're our guinea pig today for our new
It's
camera.
nothing new. My whole life I've been a guinea pig, so that's perfect.
I'm looking at the pictures over here with the earphones on. She looks like Princess Leia.
Oh, great.
Oh, that is true.
I
Like
think
a
it
horse.
works.
She looks
I'll
just-
take it.
she
That's
looks
a
just like
compliment,
Princess
yes.
Leia.
Yeah.
It's a compliment.
I'll
Yes.
take it.
I thought she was going to say that about me. I was getting
No.
a little worried.
You look like R2D2.
Oh, no. I probably
Yeah.
smell like it too.
no. You remind me of C-3PO because for whatever
I have
reason.
no idea who that is.
That's the
Oh,
golden thing
that's
that
a-
walks
that's a
around.
golden-
Oh man.
The golden
robot.
dude, yeah.
All right, the little android. And you walk around, and everyone, the second they hear your voice, is just saying off.
Off. Is that it?
Off.
Oh,
Off
thank you.
button. I need
I
an off
appreciate
button.
that.
See, I'm
It-
really giving you the heat today. I'm sorry.
You're
That's-
taking my place.
and that's don't ever give him
I'm
another
replacing
cup
you.
of coffee as long as he
That's what you
lives.
said.
I don't know how
There's
you've
gonna
been
be
his wife
multiple
for-
murders.
Coffee and 15 does not, yeah.
Does not go.
No.
And we're going to be talking her today about her book, among other things, called Faith versus Weight. But before we do, I want to talk about a couple of things that are coming up here this weekend.
Don't look at me. I'm not here
Well,
today.
you're a part of
You're
it.
gonna
So
be
Take it away, Barbara
away.
Ann. Take it away.
I am totally lost
You're in
without my
charge.
Facebook
Top
page.
professionalism, all the way
This
across
weekend
the board.
we are doing the biker bash.
I think if you go
It's not this
back,
weekend,
then
though.
I think you might be able to make
Oh
comments.
We're
my
fine. I'm on my page right now.
God.
But
Okay.
anyways, we are doing the biker bash. It's at the Gainesville State Fair.
No.
grounds. Then what's this
Do
weekend?
your homework. It's
Wow.
Decatur. You said Gainesville.
Oh,
It's Decatur
yes.
Fairgrounds in Decatur, Texas, and it's a 2-day event, and it's put on by the Full Armor Fellowship, and it is a biker bash, and
Need some faith for that biker
yeah,
bash.
she's having
Yeah.
a lot of faith over there in me. I can see that.
Wow.
But it is put on by the Full Armor Fellowship in Decatur, and it's a huge event. 2 days,
Sounds like a
the
blast.
24th and the
On the
25th.
24th, they got monster trucks.
Yes, and they've got
Yes,
show
A
what do you
live
call it?
band
What
will
do
be
you call it?
there.
Motorcycles, bicycles.
They're having a bike show on your motorcycles, and they're also doing I think they're doing an eating contest. I know Sunday's pizza, but I don't know what Saturday they're eating.
What
do
are
you
they
guys, do you
eating?
guys
Hot
know
dogs.
anything
Yes,
about?
we do. But
Probably
there's
deep
so
fried
much
Twinkies.
going on. There's so much going on.
It's 2-day event, and
a
it's going to
2-day
take us
event.
about a week to tell you about the 2
Okay,
days. So
okay,
stay with
okay.
us.
Where is it?
But August 25th, it's at the Decatur State Fairgrounds.
Correct. Isn't that what I said?
No, I'm just making sure I'm right.
And it's in Decatur.
we will be there on the August 25th with the Pride and Glory
And
Wrestling Show at
that's
5:30 to
what
7.
I am trying to get to.
And cut. Okay,
Hmm.
we're good. There you go. Good job. You look at the camera like I was actually going to turn it off. I love that. That's genuinely amazing.
So, the 25th at 5:30, the Pride and Glory Professional Wrestling will be underway doing 5 matches.
Wow.
And guess what?
What?
Big Wheels Bow,
Yes.
Yours truly.
OMG.
no.
And Purple Haze will be doing their duo MC
MCing.
again,
Nice.
live. And guess what? It's free.
Wow.
It's free. All that stuff is free out there.
And what else is free? I don't remember.
The all-you-can-eat contest. maybe.
Well, they're having
thank you.
all-you-can-eat pizza, and then they're having the pro wrestling from.
Well, they have a
5:30
lot of
to 7.
speakers that are going to be out there.
And
They're going to have
bands.
live bands. It's a huge
As
event.
opposed to dead bands.
well, they
Free music.
OMG.
well, they might be having a dead MC by the time we get there.
Right?
I'm not saying which one it's going to be.
Oh, we
but
already discussed it at the beginning of the show. But,
but
anyways.
the thing about it is, Purple Haze and Biggles Bow, they might be the main event. They just don't know it yet.
You
right.
really
right.
are a gift to this world. I hope you know this. You just spent what? It's been 5 minutes talking about an event that you're going to be at, while only talking about the event for what, 30 seconds, and just laughing at yourself the other 4 minutes and 30
I
seconds.
can always depend on my
Laugh at
son to keep me
yourself.
humble.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to keep
They
you
will do
humble.
that, for sure.
It's not
Yeah.
humbleness. It's. I don't
Just
think there's
don't
a
ex-
word
let's just
to
don't describe it,
what I
okay.
want
well,
you
let's
to
humble
be.
him a little bit. Kate Fallon will be there, and she's going to be fighting the Dangerous Dame,
And Major Mark,
Major Mark.
who, along with Ashton Jacobs, are the owners and the what are they? What's the other word you put for the CEOs
yeah.
of the Pride and Glory Professional Wrestling? Great people. They give back. And let me tell you something. These matches are second to none. If you think, okay, well, it's not
fake,
on
blah, blah,
on
blah.
our national television or big event like that, like a SmackDown or whatever they call those things, you're mistaken, because these guys are fantastic. They are absolutely. You will see something that you'll be shocked, and it's free. And not only that, it's very entertaining. The kids love it. There's no foul language, no obscene gestures. Barbie Ann is the only one that'll be an obscene gesture by being in the
I
ring.
know, and I take my duct
And-
tape just in case. I try to watch my mouth, y'all. I really do. But the other thing to let you know it's real is I have actually stitched people up after the show.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what.
That sounds real to me.
After about 9 years old,
Olds?
I realized the scripting going on in WWE, which was my favorite network.
Well, you gotta have a storyline.
No. Listen, in WWE, it is a well-known fact that every single move, every single little taunt, every word is scripted down to the last little bit. With Pride and Glory, and with most smaller wrestling communities or companies, you feel this authenticity. They not only love their craft, but they live through it. Their whole personality comes out in a whole new way, and you will think of wrestling in a completely different light.
We have made
It's
a lot
amazing.
of non-wrestling fans wrestling fans.
Yes,
We really
it
have.
really
It's been
it's
pretty cool.
it's a whole different experience. You're in there. You might even get tackled if you're lucky.
Oh yeah,
right?
we've broke a couple of chairs and we've thrown the wrestlers on the audience before. Yeah,
That's nice.
Well,
it was nice,
supporting-
especially being it was my grandbabies. Like, oh my
Oh
gosh,
my! But supporting Marine Corps
Sounds like one of-
veterans is awesome.
amen.
That's
That's
you
what it's
guys are out
about.
Yeah, and
there,
it's-
and
it's
you're
a-
supporting veterans, and
That's what it's about.
That's
It's a
what
good
counts.
cause, and
Yeah.
that does matter.
And this
Uh,
biker
counts.
bash is doing a toy run, I believe, also on Saturday.
I believe so, yes.
Saturday's a toy run. So the biker bash, you're thinking bikers. Well, it's not what you're thinking. They're doing that was the bucking bull. They're doing a Holy Ghost buck, and it's going to be riding the mechanical bull.
what?
So it's a Holy Ghost bucking
And-
bull ride. It's pretty cool.
And really, if they wanted to, I'm sure people would pay a lot of money to see them. But that does show you the type of people who run this. Major Mark, is one of the most
Top
amazing
standing
people
Marines I've ever met, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a
a
wonderful
Marine
man.
Corps
Fantastic.
veteran,
Yeah.
and he's involved in so many things, and we love him. We love the family. We just are great to be connected with them, and we do whatever we can to help them. And so come join us this Sunday at 5:30 out at the Decatur State Fairgrounds. We appreciate that, and we appreciate y'all joining us today. I hope this new camera situation's working out. We got a lot of bugs to work out, but this show's archived as well. You can, if you're not watching it live, you can go back and watch it at some other time, and we'll be posting that and sharing that as we go. And so we're going to get back now to our guest, and please make welcome again the author of Faith versus Weight, and this is the book. I don't know if you can see it or not. I don't know.
It's very bright. I mean, you can see that
It's
it's
very
blue.
bright.
It is blue.
I can see it.
It's
I'll
blue.
tell you that.
That's
There's
teal.
blue.
I hold
Right.
one up too.
It's
See?
more like a Tiffany blue, really, actually.
Oh, that was my daughter's wedding
I think
color.
it's a blue jay blue. Blue jay.
Oh, there you
There
go.
you
There you
go.
go. Oh,
That's
there
good.
we go.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
okay. We got a
pointing
little
out.
bit of faith
Appreciate
versus
you.
weight.
That's right.
So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And,
I'm delighted.
And thanks for allowing us to try something new. But so
Why
far,
not?
I believe it's
I
all
know, whatever
working.
works.
I believe it's all working good, and we appreciate that. And so, tell us a little bit now. Give us a little background about yourself.
Alrighty.
Where you where you were raised, or born, raised, and all that good. Just give us a little history about yourself and where we get to this faith and weight.
Okay.
But-
Well, it all started in the Bronx. I was born in the
Oh
Bronx.
boy! Well,
New
this
York.
show has just now been canceled.
That's right.
It's just
I am-
over.
You don't meet many people from the Bronx, but I actually am from the Bronx. Me and Colin Powell.
The home
And,
of Bronx cheer.
What was the original Yankees were the Bronx Bombers,
Yeah,
weren't
that's
they?
right. Absolutely.
Were you-
So I'm
but you're
I'm
not
a New
that old, you
Yorker.
don't
I'm
remember that.
Well, I'm up there. But anyway, 53 in October. So.
Oh well, you look
But
fantastic.
thank you. Well, it's faith versus weight. I'm born
Yeah.
again. You know, when you're born again,
That's it.
It makes you look better.
I agree.
So, that's
well, it makes
right.
you feel better at least.
Amen. So anyway, born in New York, and this is a lighthearted show, but there's lots of people out there listening in various
Yes, you
states.
just. I
so
want you to
let
share.
me share. I grew up in an abusive family,
Wow.
and thankfully things eventually turned around years later. But I know what it's like to struggle with weight. I know what it's like to be an emotional eater. You know, everyone out there is struggling with something, and the thing with weight is it's visible. And a lot of people feel a lot of shame and condemnation and struggle with this. So anyway, that I understand that and grew up with that. Well, years later, somehow by the grace of God, I wound up in the United States Navy. And I was a naval officer for 12 years.
Is that because they came after you, or you went after them?
They
Which one
actually
is-
came after me, which is kind of funny. So I won this is a wacky thing, but I won a fifth in the state of Florida marketing competition, went to a national competition, and there were Navy public affair officers there. I was recruited there. I was enlisted for a year, and I wanted to go be an officer and go straight to college, but you know, when you have a wild childhood like I did, and you only have a 2.7 GPA, and you had a year with 4 Fs and 2 Is and got in all kinds of trouble.
They're scratching their head.
There's not a lot of scholarships available for that. Yeah. But anyway, I got in and I was enlisted and
Awesome.
went through a prep program through the Navy and was trained by Marines. So I can say I like Marines, but I also know what
hate
it's like
them
to be
too,
trained
right?
by
Because how they train you.
Yes,
right?
in the boost program. Anyway, got a scholarship, and then, you know, the rest is history. The hand of God's favor was on me in the Navy, really, literally, and I got my master's, and I was in health information systems.
Now,
I got to work at the White House.
Where were you
Yeah.
stationed? Like, where did you spend most of your time in the Navy?
I was in health information systems, and I was at Naval Hospital Rota, Spain, and then Naval Hospital Bethesda, and I served I was an admiral's aide to 2 different admirals at Naval Hospital Bethesda, and then also a White House military social aide. And the best thing about working at the White House was I met my husband there. He was also Navy and a White House military social aide. So,
fantastic.
And what's his name?
His name is Mark Bauer.
All right, now you're
And,
famous.
for sure.
He's over there
that-
smiling on the couch.
Biggest
He's smiling.
blessing in my life. Didn't do anything to deserve this guy, but
Wow.
thankfully he's
Aw.
here.
Oh.
Yeah.
I genuinely
Let me tell
thought
ya.
I thought you were gonna say maybe a higher government power, like an
There was definitely a higher power. We would not have met on Match.com. We always joke about that because
Right.
we're completely opposite.
So you had met on
But,
Unmatched.com.
That's right. But, you know, we met on Match.God. You got to let the Lord pick your spouse. If
I
you
totally agree
do
with
that,
that.
then you are set. And thankfully, I finally figured that out by age 34. Anyway, so working in naval hospitals, I would visit people that were sick on the cancer ward at Naval Hospital Bethesda. And I would also then go to a White House event. It was kind of surreal to be at so much life and then to be with people that were, you know, in many cases terminal back in the day.
How did you gravitate towards that particular the cancer?
Yes. So, well, we had a cancer ward at Bethesda, and I was a church volunteer. And so when you would visit the sick, you know, at the hospital, obviously people with cancer
Yeah,
were on
right.
that ward. And so that's how I kind of got into that. And, you know, when people are, again, it's a lighthearted show, so but here we are. When people are dying, they're either mad at God or they really want God. You know, there's all different stages. But anyway, during that time, it hit me, what if we could turn back the clock? What if we could go backwards? You know, only God knows the number of our days, but what if, you know, quality of life is a real issue and we are all living longer, but not necessarily with quality of life.
Well, and that's what I always think is that I know people that they go like, I talk to them, why do you want to continue smoking, or why you want to continue these things?
That's
well,
right.
you got to die of something.
Right.
Well, sure, we're going to all die of something, but it's that how you die might be a big factor in how you feel about dying. And I've seen a lot of people suffer because of the mistakes they made on how they live, either how they eat or they don't eat properly, or smoke, or just general things that towards their time before they die, they're in agony, they're in pain. Their hospital bills are through the roof. They're on 10,000 drugs to try to make it from one day to the next. And so
I talk about that a lot in this book. Yeah.
So, well, you know where I'm coming from.
I certainly do. No. And you said, everyone's got to die from something, but the thing is not everyone is living for something. And that's what drew me to this. Years later, I had the chance to become a personal trainer. I was 45 years old. I thought, Lord have mercy, no one is going to hire me. And the Capel Family YMCA had mercy on me, and they hired me as an intern for $10 an hour, and I was delighted. This was after kids, after Navy, 12 years active duty and all that, after the White House, and I was happy to be getting paid $10 an hour because I loved it. And during that time, I thought, well, I don't want to waste people's time. People are coming here to help. And, we're not here to be friends. I'm not mean to my clients. They might say differently, but I want them to improve. I want them to have fullness of life. So what happened was during that process, the Lord put on my heart, what is it that makes people, what is it? And it's inspiration. So when I say live for something, you got to be inspired. So that's when Faith versus Weight came to me. It's a 7-week program. It's based on the 7 virtues: prudence, temperance, perseverance, justice, faith, hope, and love. And so it's not a scratch the surface book. It's a book, and I also have a podcast. I know a lot of people don't have time to read a book.
Well,
don't get scared.
First
do
of all, tell them how they can find you.
Okay.
Get in touch with your website.
Sure.
Because I think on your website they can find your podcast.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's tell them how they get in touch with you.
So to find me, the easiest way is Maria, Maria Bauer, BOWER.com, mariabauer.com. If you just remember that, then you can link to my
find
profile.
All kinds of stuff,
you can
correct.
get to podcasts. You can
Facebook,
get to my book.
Everything.
But the reason I say check out the podcast, because that way you can say, you can dip your toe in the water and it's free. That's
Well, you
what
do
love
like a
about podcasts.
5-minute podcast daily?
I do now. So the actual book is not, the whole book is on the podcast, but I took excerpts from each chapter because I wanted to put it out there. When you're not famous and nobody knows you got to have a way to let people know, well, what is this about? So if you go to my podcast, Faith versus Weight, it's on all major podcast profiles out there. If you go to my podcast, the first 10 episodes are basically excerpts from the book. And that'll give you a real feel. And I try to put as much on there so you don't even have to buy the book. You can just listen for free. But the reason I encourage people to get the book, and you can get it for $3.99 on Kindle, you don't have to spend a fortune, is because it has charts in it. And you can only explain charts, so well on a
exactly.
podcast. But anyway, the whole point of this is I was sick and tired of seeing people sick and tired. And it broke my heart to see so many people suffering. When we moved from the Bay Area to Dallas,
And when did that happen?
So that happened about almost 10 years ago. I think we're in our 9th year here.
From California?
From the Bay Area. And so, it was the view of the Golden Gate Bridge and all that. And then I got here and all I saw was one obesity billboard after another. And it just blew my mind. And I thought, oh my God.
We love our fried chicken here.
Well, it really wasn't even just that. It was surgery. And I thought, oh my gosh, is this, with all the government think tanks and experts and everything we have, is this the best we've got? Really? You got to go in for surgery? So that broke my heart. That being said, I know surgery saves lives. I have friends that do this, and I'm not anti-surgery if that's what you need, but we need to address this problem before we're at that level. So what are the 3 things that I tell people? You need 3 things. I don't care what diet you're on or what you're going to do. The 3 things are inspiration, illumination, and transformation. Inspiration is your why. I start off my podcast, my book, the program with Jesus goes and he finds the invalid at the pool of Bethesda. We were just in Israel in December. Fabulous. And he's at the pool of Bethesda, and there's this guy sitting there for 38 years, and he's suffering, and he's this close to his miracle, but he can't even get a toe in. He's right next to his miracle, because at the pool of Bethesda, the angel would come and touch the water. And if you were the first one in, after that angel touched the water, you were healed. But this guy could never quite get in. And people were cutting deals there. Somehow other people were getting in. So Jesus comes and asks him, and this is how I open up with my classes, podcast, everything else. Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be healed? I mean, people are thinking about. And again, when I teach, I don't teach guilt. There's no condemnation. Okay, for those that are in Christ Jesus, there's no condemnation. It's not about guilt. It's about fullness of life.
Right. Well, I think, it's one thing to say I want something, and then it's another thing to really want to do it.
That and how do I get there?
And how do I get there?
Yes.
And it's a full understanding of what it is, because how many people smoke and they look on the box, it says you're going to get cancer. You're going to die from this.
Hey, fool.
Hey, fool. And they read it and
they light it up.
And then they light up
2 or 3
another
packs
cigarette.
a day.
Yeah. And I used to smoke, so I get it. Because I didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't have an inspiration. So when Jesus is asking him, do you want to be healed? I teach there's 3 types of energy. This is nothing new, but it's a way to look at it. Spiritual, emotional, and physical. Okay? He's asking, we think, he's asking the invalid, do you want to be healed? Physically, right? Of course the guy wants to walk. Don't we all want to be healed? Well, if we all want to be healed, just like what you said, Michael, then why are we doing the things that are causing us to not be healed?
Yeah, that keeps us from walking.
Okay,
right?
so there's something else there, right? That's your physical. What about your spiritual and emotional? So Jesus is also asking him at the spiritual level. The guy may not be getting it. We're not getting it. Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be saved? What are you living for? He came for fullness of life. That's why he left the throne, right? To come be with us. So anyway, inspiration. So I ask my clients, do you want to be healed? Okay, great. Yes, I want to be healed. Why? Why do you want to be healed? What is your why? We are all here, for the glory of God. That's it. That's why I'm sucking up air right now. Okay, all of us. So then why do you want to be healed? All right, then it gets personal. If you don't get personal with why you want to get healthy, you will never get there. Okay, well, my mother had diabetes. It was a miserable death. They said I'm pre-diabetic. Okay,
well,
I've got
that's
kids.
a pretty good
I got
reason,
grandkids.
right?
I got, so it's got to get to the why level of where you are almost crying over why you want to get healthy. If you don't get there, you're always going to pick the cupcake over the carrot. Okay, who's going to tell you the cupcake doesn't? I'm not going to tell you the cupcake doesn't taste good. That being said, we have a dessert on my program every day. Why do I do that? Why do I not go no sugar or 360 this or that or whatever? And I'm not knocking. Listen, whatever program works for you, do it. I will be the last person to tell you this is the only program that works. It works, and it works for a lot of people, but something else might work for you. But number one, you got to find why you want to do it, or you're not going to stick with it. So that's your inspiration, and inspiration means God breathed. Okay, so I go for my inspiration every day, 30 minutes, my face in the Bible. Now, the Bible, I'm going to say it because I am not a preacher, I'm a teacher. It can get boring. We all know, I want to read the Bible, but there's so many other things and this is going on and on. So what I do is I get an audible version, the U version of the Bible. I listen while I read. When I listen while I read, guess what? I read the Bible in a year. Never read the Bible in my whole life before I listened while I read. So that might help you. But the point is, spend 5 minutes. Start somewhere. Inspiration comes from God. All of a sudden, now you start getting excited about life. The only way you're going to get excited about life is through Jesus. He is the one that puts you on the planet. That's why you're here breathing. So you get excited about life. Okay, great. You're all excited. Now what do I do? That's part 2. I said inspiration was 1. Illumination is the plan. I give you a plan. The plan I give you is not crazy. I'm sorry. If you wanted to hear that you had to give up this or starve yourself that or go take shots, my plan is not that. Okay, it's basically a moderate carbohydrate diet, but it's not your regular moderate carb. It does have a twist. It has to do with timing. There's an order in all things, and in my plan has an order. This order has helped the most people lose the most weight, but wait, sustain it. Because if you can't sustain it, you're stuck. So that's the illumination plan.
I think that has to deal with a total change, and just like when you were talking about your faith and following Jesus, and that's a change. We don't just say, okay, I like you today, Jesus, and I'll get back with you in about 10 or 12 years. It's a daily affirmation. It's a daily commitment, and it's a daily connection. Yeah. And when you do that, then that's ongoing. Yeah. And so that's a change. We went from the old man to the new man. Yes. Or woman. I'll throw that in there to be politically correct. So we go from the old to the new, right. And in that go back. Today I'm in the new. Yes, tomorrow I'm gonna be in the old, and back to the new on Thursday, and back to the old on Friday. It's a total change. So that has to happen.
And that's level
all the
3,
way.
transformation.
You think I read this book?
You should have wrote your own book.
I mean,
I'm going to
this
write
guy-
my own book. It's going to be
Honestly, we
faith
didn't
versus
pre-rehearse
weight,
this.
bow style.
It's third step is transformation. And transformation is walk with the Lord. How often? Daily. What does daily mean? One day at a time. This is
I
a
say
one day at a time.
continuously.
Yeah, yes,
The Bible says pray without ceasing.
Amen. Yeah.
And so when you look at that, prayer does not mean that you're just on your knees 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's talking about communication, and it's staying in that zone, and which is what the Holy Spirit provides,
Yes.
that we're able to stay in
Yes.
that complete zone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take, even for all the things that you're mentioning here
Yeah.
about your own belief of getting well.
Yeah.
That's a 24-hour day
You wanna
thing.
be healed.
Wow.
You're going to be healed.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I
never saw
I'll
that
tell you.
side of him before.
I never saw that side.
I can clown on him all I want and make fun of him, but if he knows one thing, it is Christ, the Bible, spirituality. He's very well adverse.
What a blessing for your son to say that about
Yes. No, it really is, because
He gets paid for this. Don't worry about it.
no, seriously. I'll joke around, but in all seriousness, my father takes a level of not only certainty but seriousness, and he's very sure of himself when he talks about Christ. So it's very easy for someone who is questioning themselves to talk to him, because he's not the person who says I don't know. He won't discuss the I don't knows, because he's very, very confident in his beliefs. And so if you're second guessing yourself or your beliefs or Christ, it feels good to have that confident, almost stronghold in Christ. It's really good. It's that spirituality, that strong connection to the Lord. It means a lot. So that there's
No one
something.
is going to be able to say anything after that.
That's it.
Just
That's
shrugged
it.
off.
Show's
Show
over.
over.
Show's over.
Show's over.
Well, the one thing that I found, and maybe I can use it with your situation, is that we try to make a lot of things difficult.
Amen. Yeah. Overly difficult.
And
Yeah. It's very
following
simple.
Christ, having Christ in your life, and just knowing that you are in that zone, if I can use that word, and walk in that every day, 24 hours a day, every second of your life, knowing that you are in that protective covering. No matter if you got killed tomorrow,
You're confident.
you're still in that protective
You're
covering
confident.
because of where you're going to go. And so therefore we make things difficult with our weight. We make things difficult
right.
with what we're trying to overcome.
You're right.
And they're just as easy as accepting Christ and being with you, because Christ wants to be with you. It's not that I want to be with him, but the first and foremost thing is he wants to be with us.
That's right. That's right.
And
You only have to make one decision a day. One. And that's to choose Jesus. That's the only decision you have to make. The rest will come easier.
And we want Christ when we want him,
Yeah.
on our own terms. And
That happens a lot.
that happens. We do the same thing in our marriages.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, Barbie Ann, you getting that?
you getting that feeling? She getting that feeling?
I'm
Uh-oh.
taking notes.
Taking notes. And that's just it. You need all the time. It's not just you see a snake when you're walking in the forest, you don't say, gee, what am I going to do? You understand the trouble, you understand what's happening, and you jump out of the way. You don't need to figure out what to do next. And it's the same thing when you see these things and understand them, like what's on the side of a cigarette box. When you understand how desperate this really is, you don't have a problem with it. Your problem is you're not listening.
Yeah.
Well, let's make things easy for yourself and enjoy life, instead of life being robbing you and frustrating you with the things that you're not being able to. If you're basically being hampered by diabetes,
Yeah.
or emphysema, or some of these things that what we do in our life causes these problems, we've brought them on ourselves in a lot of ways. Now, some things happen that
Absolutely.
we
course.
didn't bring on ourselves. But I did a USO military tour to South Korea
Wow.
in the music, and did that in the 90s. And when I was over in South Korea, I did not see one overweight person. and they were.
It's interesting you bring that up because I talk about different cultures. That's in the chapter on temperance. I
Oh,
get a whole,
see,
we're all or nothing.
Faith
culture.
versus weight, bow styles
That's
coming
it.
up.
Yeah.
But when, I didn't see any person there overweight at all. Now, we can go into maybe why the reasons are, and I think diet's one of them. But
it's actually
cultural as well.
Yeah, it's really cultural.
Yeah.
Yes, they do have it's less calorie intense, and it's a bit less diverse, and there's not as many sweets, and they tend to eat less on average. But the biggest thing, to me at least, is that they believe the body is a temple, something that you maintain.
That's a good point.
Something that is very important. Mostly in Western cultures, the body is either like sexualized or just put off to the side. Not very important. It's second to the mind, which, when it comes to being second to the mind, that can be good, but also that leads to having an unhealthy lifestyle. Sitting around all day and doing nothing is not good for you. No matter how much you may be using your brain,
Carver.
it doesn't matter. Hey, I don't want to talk.
That's true. All teens now. Listen,
I can be biased.
Take your own advice.
I can be biased.
Listen,
Here comes the parental
right.
guidance.
But he said,
I wanted
at
to-
least he's got the idea right, and but it is a cultural thing.
Let me say something.
And we're all
Finish
or nothing.
that on that. So I was over there for 6 months and covered everything from Pusan to the DMC. And
Awesome.
when we came back, and I walked off the plane, the very, very first thing I saw was one of those little golf carts carrying a person that weighed over 500 pounds. I promise you, that was the very first thing I saw. And it made such an impact on me
believe you.
that I was shocked because I go like, this is America. That's what we've become. We've become a food junkie, an unhealthy junkie, an unhealthy lifestyle. And it just hit me so hard to see that person on that golf cart being carted from, like
please.
one door over, having to be in I guarantee you over 500 pounds.
Well, but people are suffering, and there's a reason. So obesity is a symptom. It's not the root cause.
Correct.
It's a symptom. And so I want to say to the people that are out there, if you're in that position and you're in that situation and you're just struggling, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? You are loved. You don't have to be perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. First, it's a cultural thing, but there's another thing, and that's what I get into my book. It's about blood sugar control. The reason why you're saying to yourself, but I want to just have one Oreo or whatever, and I keep going. It's a blood sugar issue. I don't care if you're diabetic or not. So my plan controls blood sugar. The only way, listen, I used to sit there with a sleeve of Thin Mints and polish it off. My kid finally said to me, Mom, maybe if you had a little bit every day, you wouldn't sit there and finish the whole box. Okay?
Why don't you just buy the Girl
We've all
Scouts
been
all
there.
together?
Yeah, that's right. I finally just gave the money. It was called a donation. Don't sell me the Thin Mints. No,
I was on the Will Rogers diet.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
never met a food I didn't like.
There you go. So listen, I just want to say I get that it's not easy, but when you control your blood sugar, and I teach people how to do this in this plan, then I kid you not, I've had people say over and over again to me, my gosh, Maria, I was able to walk by the donut. Or Maria, I went to my doctor, here are my numbers. Or Maria, you know what, I could actually have dessert now and stop it a little bit. And no, it's not because they have some special willpower, it's because they are following the plan and controlling the blood sugar. When your blood sugar is under control, you decide the amount of dessert, not the amount of dessert deciding for you.
Well, I think a lot of people also see or say to themselves that they look in the mirror and they're not happy with what they see.
I know,
Yeah.
and that's that's a vanity issue too, and it's hard.
We're
I think
our own worst critics.
Yeah, but I think
Yes.
I do think when you see that, you're not helping yourself. Sitting there and just critiquing yourself in the mirror. At the end of the day, yes, you see the problem. But
Carver, you've been spying on me.
Shush. But really, you see yourself in the mirror and you critique yourself. Yes, it is seeing the problem, which is, as you said, is the first step, understanding that there's an issue. But really, you got to focus on how to fix it. Sitting there and moping and being upset with yourself is never going to get you
I love that
anywhere.
you brought that up, because we are such a, people are, you judge books by the cover all the time, right? And so what I want to say about that, and the reason I actually wrote the book was to take the emphasis off of vanity and put it on energy. You want to have energy. The number one complaint I have from people is they have no energy. And let me tell you, the vanity game is a losing game. This is what happens. I'm sitting next to Bo, and Bo is on a spin bike.
And
I
she
look
thinks I'm gorgeous,
And
so I'm
I
in
say,
good
look at
shape."
Bo. no. And I say, he's on the spin bike and, he goes spinning and look, he's skinny and, I'm struggling and Bo can eat whatever he wants and I look at a donut and, I'm wearing it, that kind of thing. So that's why the vanity thing does not work. So stop looking at everybody else. Put the blinders on like a horse with blinders. The Bible talks about this over and over again, like a horse with blinders, straight ahead. Put the blinders on and think about energy. You want to have energy to serve the kingdom. That's why we're here, is to have energy. And what happens is the devil kills, steals, and destroys. That the diabetes, the this, the that. I'm talking about the things that we can manage. I'm not talking about you just inherited something, okay? I'm talking about genetically. We can turn on and off certain gene expressions by how we live. And so the things you can manage, you want to have more energy because guess what? You're probably going to live longer. They're figuring out ways for us all to live longer. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be living longer in a dilapidated state.
Dragging yourself down the street, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this.
Instead of buns of steel, you have buns of cinnamon.
Exactly. So, when you're looking at yourself, back to Graham's point on the looking at yourself in the mirror and you're looking at yourself, stop looking at yourself from your eyes. Amen. Look at yourself through Christ's eyes. Because Christ looks at you a whole lot different than you look at yourself. Because he sees beauty. He sees magnificence. He sees greatness. He sees power. He sees energy. And if you can understand that and grasp that and take a hold of that and be in that communication with God every day, then you're going to start seeing yourself through God's eyes, which he wants you to see yourself through.
If you genuinely, this is what I believe and what I've always stood behind is, if you respect yourself, if you love yourself, if you stay very positive, and in all honesty, if you stay inside all day in a dark room, do you think you're going to be happy? Just no.
Really
yes or
that.
no?
No, I know that.
No, you won't.
Right.
Although we have a dark room in our studio.
Yeah, no. But if you go, if you go to a doctor or to a therapist or whatever, a psychologist, they will always tell you, surround yourself with positivity. Okay, don't surround yourself with negative people, negative thoughts. Don't stay in dark rooms. Okay, go outside, get sunlight, really you're receiving energy, which should tell you something.
And vitamin D.
Right?
You're bringing up a real thing with depression, and I get into that in the book too. Depression and anxiety. I have a chapter on hope. It's real, and you're right.
Yeah, if you stay positive and do things to keep you positive, and you are active, which is a side effect of being positive, I really do think that the weight loss is a side effect of doing that as well. Because if you respect yourself, you'll want to stay in a certain shape. You'll want to feel good when you look in the mirror. And if you want to feel good when you look in the mirror, that passion for doing so and that passion to be happy with yourself can lead you to do more to stay happy with yourself in the first place. And yes, I do think it is important to get on a diet and to work out.
And you do it through faith versus weight.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because if you believe in God and you follow Christ, there are certain things that you follow alongside with that, and that is being happy and being a good person as well. And as being a good person, you will live through Christ, and a lot of your problems, for me at least, seem to evaporate.
Very true.
But we're all sinners, and Jesus is in the process of restoration. Last night I was at Prestonwood Baptist Church Saturday night worship with Dr. Jarrett Stevens and the Prestonwood worship team. If I could live at Prestonwood, I would. I mean, it was so uplifting.
Have you asked him yet?
It was all about, really, I'm always there. Honestly, that's right. But it's all about restoration. And I want to say to you, I teach a class at Prestonwood based on faith versus weight. I've been teaching faith versus weight for 7 years now. I started at the Capel Family YMCA. They just let me do what I wanted over there, God bless them. And Prestonwood allowed me also to teach it after screening it. And so I teach it there on Tuesday nights. It's going to start up again September 10th through Women's Ministry. This is how I fight my battles. I get my energy from the Lord. And when I'm at night worship on a Saturday night, I would have never thought, well, where am I going to be on Saturday night? At night worship, let me tell you, I walk out of that place floating. So anyway, I can't say enough about Prestonwood. The class is going to start up at prestonwood.org/women. There are other women's ministry classes. There are tons of classes for women and men. Faith versus Weight starts September 10th. You can do that. You can just, if you can't do that, order the book. If you can't do that, you can listen to the podcast. I mean, I wanted to make this accessible.
Again, tell them where they can find you,
Yes.
and where they can order the book, and how they can find you. I know that on the podcast, that if you download your favorite podcast app, there's about 20 of them, I think, that you're associated with.
Yeah.
So you just go to your Play Store or your App Store and download, pick one of your favorite podcast apps. And then I'm guessing they search you, Maria Bauer.
Yeah. Well, no, Faith versus Weight.
Oh, so they
Faith versus Weight.
okay, so
Podcast is Faith versus Weight.
Okay, so search Faith versus Weight. That's Faith versus Weight, and then it'll pop up to your podcast, correct?
Right, correct. It's be Faith and then VS, not the full spelling.
Right.
Just Faith VS and then Weight. And so, yeah, you can find my podcast there. You can start there. Also, this is my dream, people. I'm
MariaBauer.com.
Right. You can find everything through MariaBauer.com.
MariaBauer.com. MarieBauer.com. And there's links there to, even buying the book, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, you can order through Amazon. The book's on Amazon.
Yeah.
But what I want to say, too, is this dream out there. If you are a church leader and you would like to have Faith versus Weight at your church, I'm in the process now. I'm training facilitators starting September 10th. And also, we're going to be doing a video series, a 7-week video series. I'm doing an action guide, which is basically your Bible study guide, but I'm calling it an action guide. So church leaders, if you want to bring Faith versus Weight to your church, again, it's Maria, MariaBower.com.
And I'm sure you're open to speaking engagements anyway. Just
happy to spread the gospel and get people healthy.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for being with us today. It's just fantastic, because this is a struggle for a lot of people. I looked at the two words, faith and weight, and I think those are probably the two hardest things that people deal with. They deal with faith. That's a hard thing for them, very difficult. And weight for a lot of people is very difficult. So the two words that in your book and in your whole demeanor of your life is probably the two hardest words that people deal with in their life. So to bring that into the right perspective, to get yourself in the right place faith-wise, then I think a lot of things will just start falling into place. And then follow the book, follow what she has to say, listen to her podcast, and give her some feedback about the show. Give her some feedback about her book. This is to help. This is what we're here today for, is to help people get control of yourself, of your life, so you can stand up and say, by golly, I is one. I feel great because of this.
Okay.
What with me, I want to do an endorsement. I go to Prestonwood Gym. That's where we met.
Okay.
We met. And through our friend Lee and his beautiful wife Jean, who just had 50-year anniversary.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, they did. And,
well, they really need to read that book.
Yeah, they've been living it. They've been
Lee's
living
in
it.
my book. He's awesome.
He is in the book. And so he says, you got to meet this young lady who wrote a book. Now, as an author for the past 20, 30 years, I get free meals twice a month, or at least coffee, when people say, I want to meet with you about marketing. So he says, speak with her about marketing. So we had coffee and talked. And I have to admit, this is normally when I speak to an author and they give me a book and they sign it and I go home and my wife goes, I can't finish this book. It's no good. And we got to read this book, and it's well written. Boom. It's informative. This is the real thing. And that's why.
And this is coming from the best-selling author, Michael Edwin Q. So he should know what a good book is.
It's a good book,
Yes.
and it's a helpful book. It's what it's supposed to be. And So that's why I said let's have her on the show, because
Yes,
I didn't want
and
to
thank you for that.
I didn't want to be looked like as a fool, at least in this.
And thank you. And I brought you on the show just in case you did. But
I'm going to do it anyway. Sorry.
Michael Edwin Q, thanks for being a co-host today, and you'll be joining us ever so often because we've had conversations about that.
Love it here.
Graham
Can I
Knox-Mirbo
add
Carver.
something before you
Yes,
go?
yes.
He's
Before you go.
getting more awake.
I'm getting. Yeah, I'm starting to wake
Coffee
up.
kicked
The
in.
minds are flowing. Do you think it's easier to love yourself with Christ?
Well, the only way you're going to love yourself the way that God intended is through Jesus.
Okay, there we go.
But you have more self-worth.
Yeah.
Second question. Okay. Oh no, I didn't forget my second question, did I?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Another cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm gonna need another cup of coffee for that. But to end it on a high note, I think something that you care about, like this book, it flows easier. It doesn't feel like you're forcing yourself to read it because it's something you care about. It's not only God, but it's yourself and your own image. So I think coming from Michael Edwin Q, who is an amazing author, very blunt, again, moderately endearing. It means a lot to hear that from you.
He doesn't throw
And-
compliments around, that's for sure.
No, he
Ask
I've
my
known him
wife.
for 30 years, and I hadn't heard one yet.
And you ain't going to hear it either.
But thank you for that.
there's something important in this book, even if you're not necessarily struggling with weight. Finding yourself through Christ.
Amen.
It's always
Brilliant.
something that you have to deal with in life,
And
no
it's
matter.
Out of the mouths of babes.
It's a
yeah.
thick book, but you don't have to read it in one sitting.
Thank you. It is
That-
written week by
understand that.
week. Thank you for
Yeah,
saying
that's
that. It's a
important.
program. Actually, I should have called it program. Sorry. It is a program. Week 1, week 2. Only read 1 week at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself.
I got a great idea. Read a little bit of the Bible and then read faith versus weight right after you get to reading
Well,
that.
can I make one comment?
Absolutely.
Sure.
What?
I
You
know,
don't have
we
to
didn't
make
hear
one.
anything.
You can
Yeah,
make-
we
Well-
love
Here she is.
Get out of here,
Purple
Barbara.
Haze.
Well, no. What I saw and being in the medical field is where you hit it on the head on the nail, or whatever that saying is.
We got you.
The blood sugar. My weight gain was due to my blood sugar. It was dropping. I couldn't control it, so I go to the doctor. They put me on a shot. So when you said that, that's what piqued my interest, because a lot of people don't understand it's your blood sugar that is storing and making you gain that weight. And if you're not controlling it, then but with that information right there on the medical side, that's what perked my interest. Not everybody is, all about everything else, but it's the medical side people want. They want scientific proof, and
Thank
believe it
you
or
for
not.
saying that. And by saying that, I should say, you got to check with your doctor before you start any diet. I am not a physician. I am a trainer certified through National Academy of Sports Medicine, fitness, nutrition, personal trainer,
There you go.
behavioral change, women's fitness, but I'm not a physician.
But with you saying that, with
Yeah.
the blood sugar, I bet that perked a lot of interest in people, because everybody keeps saying my blood sugar drops. I have to eat
know,
whatever I can find. I'm putting sugar in
And
my
they
mouth.
need to listen to doctor first, but yeah, this
no,
is
but
to compliment, not
But
to,
just the
yeah.
point that you said that is, with that in there, people don't understand it's your blood sugar.
You're right.
The last thing you want to do is listen to that commercial that says you look like you need a Snickers.
You're right.
Because people
deserve
will.
a
You know
break.
what? You have the
They do.
Snickers, and then what? Then what do you have after the Snickers? Another Snickers.
Well-
And then you
Yeah.
go to the ice cream because
Exactly.
that was so good.
Wait,
Right.
so that's important. That's really interesting to hear.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't count this as any sort of alternative to maybe what's considered like
Oh, I
set up
guarantee you, if I follow what
science.
she did, I'll be able to get off my I'll be able to get off that shot.
No, that's
And
not.
that'd
that's
be
not my
great.
thing.
That'd be
She
that's
said
Because
something
those
very
shots are
important.
expensive.
She
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
she said,
You have to follow
You
your
save us
doctor's
some
advice.
money.
I
Yeah,
have
she
to
said
say that, but I
doctor
would
doctor
say,
first,
yeah.
doctor's advice.
Absolutely.
So you think you're adding on to, not taking away from.
I am meaning to compliment.
Yeah.
not-
Okay.
I'm not a
She's
physician.
So that's important
right.
because you don't claim to have all the secrets, to have the answers
I have no
to weight
secrets.
loss.
I just have worked with a lot of people,
And she
I'm a
has a
church
little bit of
volunteer
knowledge,
that has
yeah.
a little bit of knowledge, and I've had a lot of diabetics come through. They taught me about blood sugar. The
that's what
diabetics taught me.
that's what I'm saying,
And when
yeah.
they came to me, and I said, "Why are you coming to me? I'm not a diabetes educator. I want you to know that." But I
you gotta
helped
put
them,
that
and
in
I got
there.
them, and I got their insulin down, and
Yes.
this down, and that down. And so I said, "Oh my goodness, so we worked together. I listened,
You'd
and we
be
worked together."
surprised. You'd
Yeah.
be surprised.
Yeah.
Maria knows the Lord, and he knows everything.
That's well, he does know everything. That's for sure.
See,
So-
my problem
Amen.
is I'm a light eater. As soon as it gets light, I start eating.
And especially daylight savings time. That's
That's why I
rough.
work twice as much. What I did though, to help out is I named my dog 6 Miles. So now
Oh, my
now I
gosh.
tell everybody I walk 6 miles twice a day.
And they believe you.
Oh yeah.
So we appreciate you joining us today. And again, Purple Haze, thanks for being a co-host. And we're going to have to work on, because I know you're frustrated over there
I'll
not
get
making
that.
comments. We'll have to
But
figure
when
that
she
out.
started saying blood sugar, and in part of my job, we have health educators, and we have people that advise people how to eat and how to better themselves. And actually, one of them is listening today, and Anderson, I want to thank you for listening. She's one of our health educators at her job, and she's exactly what you're doing, trying to tell people how to get healthy by what they eat and exercise. And so with this book, I think it's going to help a lot of people too.
Well,
I
also,
really
you need to learn to be educated about what you eat. For example, I saw one thing, and I know we keep trying to close, but stuff keeps coming up, and I don't
We're
want
at an
to.
hour now.
I don't want to shut. I don't want to shut down when we're on something that's really important.
This is.
But I know that I saw some information that was kind of shocking to me. That one of the number one things that makes people fat and adds a lot more weight to you is diet drinks.
I thought it was marriage.
Yeah.
Well, you drink a lot of diet drinks when
So
you're
do you-
married.
do you- is
diet
your-
Now that
drinks are-
causes a lot of other problems,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I thought it was marriage.
You can
Yes.
go. You can go on a whiskey
It sounds
diet.
counterintuitive, but you're right.
but what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is because they sell you our society is built on selling you stuff
Amen.
and
Yeah,
making
it
money.
is, yeah.
Don't believe 'em.
And if I sell you on the idea that a diet Coke or a diet drink is going to make you think you're losing weight, I've got news for you. That's just the opposite. And that was the number one thing that caused people to be fat, because what it does is it takes the brain and it confuses the brain. And I don't know all the technical aspects of it,
Yeah.
but I
talk
know
about that some in the
but I
book,
know
yeah.
that this is
Right.
what happens,
Yeah.
and because it confuses the brain, then what happens is that it stores fat.
Yeah.
And so just as something as simple as a Diet Coke, and people are drinking 4, 5, 6 Diet Cokes a day thinking they're not gaining
I help
weight.
people get
That's
off
just
that,
the
yeah.
opposite.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that you got to be aware of, and know that some of the stuff that they're selling you, that to lose weight or whatever, is not working,
what do you-
and this
what do you
is
mean?
the
That's-
answer.
Hold the book up. Hold the book
Yeah,
up.
that's
I talk about that a lot in the book, and I'll tell you, they're either selling you sugar, a sugar substitute, or a way to take a pill to eat more sugar. No one is helping you to control it. And I will tell you exactly what he said. He hit the nail on the head, and I help people. I get it. I know you're drinking 6 diet whatever a day. I have clients come to me all the time with that, and I have a program that helps them ease off of it. And you can, and they have.
I don't know why this is that's capitalism at its finest, selling things that don't need
Well,
to
of
be
course.
sold.
No,
That's
but-
capitalism.
money. It's
That
just-
is working. That is I love that this
Yeah.
country can sell you things that
But the other part of the,
don't do anything.
yeah, but the other part of the freedom is you don't have to buy it.
There you go.
Exactly.
Our diets right now, I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry right now. Just any type of diet you can throw out there. Jenny Craig, the Atkins, the
Yeah.
South Beach, all of that.
And see,
That's right.
I find that a lot of them are focused on shredding as much weight as possible, as fast as possible.
And that's not good.
And then
It's
yes,
sensationalism.
it's extreme. It's
It's instant gratification.
it's
Right.
instant
That's a good
gratification,
point.
and it's impossible to hold.
Now, I
You
will
gain it
say
back.
this about what you just said. We are reward-based creatures. So diet sounds awful, and that's why my whole book is based on reward. But the reward in my book is more energy.
You said-
start with more energy, and when you start feeling more energy, it's easier to make better choices.
Well, don't lie to me. You said you got a dessert in there every day, right? So that
And
there is
that's
some
a reward.
things.
That's a
That is
reward.
another type. You're absolutely right. But I'm saying we are reward-based creatures. So to go the extreme or whatever, it's not sustainable.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, when you hear lose 50 pounds and
Sure,
a
I'm
week,
jumping on board.
right?
I've done all of them.
no
I
one,
have.
no one
Many
who wants
yeah.
to lose
I've
weight
even
will
done the
say
pool
no.
sculpting. I've even done where it's
yeah.
supposed to freeze my fat. I've done
Did it freeze
everything.
it?
Wow.
It was
Now
cold.
she just sticks her head in the freezer.
Trying to get something.
She's got a small head.
So
I have
Okay.
done them all. I really have. I went from diet pills, the Phenermine, the Adipex, the Pondamin. I've done it all.
I was on a
I'm
whiskey.
usually the last stop after that, so I've heard it.
I've
heard
got
it
the
all.
book. Here
Oh,
we
you
go.
got the book. I was on a whiskey diet and I lost 3 days.
Boy, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Well, just
But
the
then
one-
you find it and you find, oh my gosh, I don't want to know about those 3
I don't
days.
don't tell me what
Yes.
happened with the circus came to
That
town.
was a different person then.
Yes, thank God.
And we again thank you for joining us today on this show. And I want want to thank Graham Knoxmere, Bo Carver for doing a great job. And I think we're happy with the Mevo camera.
Somebody is.
Just look at it later.
I think what I've
it's-
seen, it's been looking really good. We've got some adjustments to make on that to get Barbara Ann happy. We have Michael Edwin Q as our co-host today, who is a best-selling author as well. He'll be back on a new release coming out, I believe, the start of October.
At the end of September.
End of September. Well, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Well, tell them what the new release is.
I just want to be contrary.
I see that. Okay, the last part of September. And Purple Haze this weekend. It's coming next Sunday, the 25th. We'll be in the ring together, duo emceeing at the
Decatur
Pride and
State
Glory.
Fairgrounds.
Professional wrestling at Decatur State Fairgrounds. It's a free event. Come on, the full fellowship is putting that on. That up at BikerBashTX.org.
Hoorah.
BikerBashTX.org. And thank you, our guest today.
Hug a
Thank you.
veteran, y'all.
What
Had a
an
blast,
awesome,
had a blast.
what
Thank
an
you.
awesome day, and you know what? I'd like to invite you back sometime.
I'd love it.
We'll let this soak in
I'd
and
be
let
honored.
this
Thank you.
get digest a little bit, and maybe some people will come back when you come back and give us some testimonies on
Love
Facebook
that.
about what they did with this book and
Oh,
help
my
them.
God.
Well,
would be a
Annette Anderson's
blessing.
agreeing with it right now, exactly what you're saying. So, and she's
Thank
one of my
you.
health advisors at my job.
Thank you.
Well, I'll be honest. I tune out to a lot of things when I'm working a camera. No,
Like
I'm
me,
serious.
most
That's
24
normal
hours a
for
day.
most 50
This will be the
Yes.
Or a
cover.
parent, or a
Father
parent.
especially.
Yeah.
So do my
I bet-
children. No.
But there's something amazing about listening to someone who wants to help you, not in a selfish way or for the sake of money, but wants to help you because it is the right thing to do. And not only that, but through Christ himself. And there's something that's very hard to tune out about that. It flows straight through you. It hits you with a message. And also, Michael Edwin Q also happens to be one of the funniest people I've ever met on
Yes,
the
he
planet.
is.
He's very
So-
entertaining.
Is
so
that going to cost
everything-
me or what?
Is everything
I saw the
entertaining.
money going to the table, but we're all good.
That's
so
right.
it has been an hour and 10 minutes.
Wouldn't be here
I
without
know.
Michael.
Oh.
So,
So no,
thank you.
no, that's
See,
not
now
like
Graham's doing my job. It's time
that's
to
not,
wrap
no, that's
up.
not a sad thing. That's not saying wrap it up. I'm done with
I
you guys.
understand.
It's saying
Done
that
with you guys.
Somebody's gotta keep us on track.
we've never gone an
a
hour and 10 minutes
50-year-old.
before.
No, this is the longest we've done our show
and
ever.
there's something to be said about that.
And
They say it's another great show on Facebook.
Another great
so.
show.
well, this is what we want to do with our show, and we're here every Sunday at noon, and it's archived, so you can go to facebook.com/Bo Carver Show, and if you didn't see it live, share the word, because we'll be sharing this broadcast throughout the week, and if you see it, share it with somebody else. You can either share it with them in IM message, or you can share it to your timeline.
You can do a Facebook watch party.
More and more people that see it, you know. And one thing I do know is that when you have the love of Christ in you, you love yourself, then that allows you to love others. And
Okay.
so that's okay. Graham's got
Don't-
another
don't-
comment.
she's
for
Don't-
loving the monkey.
Don't ruin the message, please. Just that was wonderful. Don't add on.
Carver, you're
we
ruining
have
it.
He's ruining it.
You're
He's
ruining it.
We
it.
have
Carver.
to. We have to. This
Okay,
is
hit
bad.
stop. We're
no,
done.
I'm not hitting stop. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Let's go
I
have some
think
more
he's trying to
coffee.
take your job, Bo.
Yeah, I'm trying to take everyone's
He's already
job.
taken mine.
You're hilarious, Michael. I love you very
I love you
much.
too, pal.
Mildly endearing.
Whatever you do, whatever you do in your life, do it 100%.
He does.
Except when you give blood. Okay. So,
We're
That's
out.
a good point.
Okay.
good point. Take
And
it.
We'll
on
see
that
y'all
note,
next week. We love you.
we love you. Hug a veteran. No,
I
I'm
do.
stealing
no,
everyone's job.
I've got to do one more thing before we leave, and I
Yeah.
forgot about this, and then we'll go. I don't know if this is going to be on the faith versus weight a diet look or plan, but our sponsor is Mocha Coffee.
I've already
Oh,
put it
yeah.
on there.
And
I've already put
it's-
her on there.
I want to know something. Now, this is that lady from Holland.
Yes,
Karen
yes,
I
yes.
got a question for her.
Okay, Karen Howell, listen up.
Now, if someone from Holland marries a Filipino, are their kids jalapenos?
OMG. End the show on that
Yes.
one, Carver.
So mokk-a.com. That's mokk-a.com. The best coffee you'll ever 5 blends. You can get in bean or ground. Tell Karen Hawa that you love me and think I'm gorgeous, and she'll just get a big laugh out of
I'll
that.
never think of mocha coffee the same.
And if
that
you
plus money will get you coffee.
and if you don't like that coffee, I'll buy it back from you. So it's 100% guarantee from me,
You
Big
actually
Will's
had
Bo
some
Carver.
today,
Because
Michael.
Yeah,
because he
I-
loves
I-
the coffee
I-
at the end.
I
And
like it.
and with that, we're gonna say adios, amigas, and amigos. And
Good and
that's just
proud.
for our Spanish speaking people. But to my brothers and sisters out there, I'm Big Will's Bo. Until next Sunday, here on the Wheels of